I'm here with.
Jenika Gonzalez. I'm a graphic designer, but I like to call myself a creative and a collaborator because, a big part of my creativity is collaborating with people.
Awesome. Fun fact, myself and Jenika were in the Cleveland's most interesting 2022.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're pretty, I would say.
Yeah, we're
I mean,
interesting.
yeah, we're interesting. Yeah, still to this
In
day.
2022.
And still right now. That's what I believe. My heart is
Yeah.
set on that. So, getting into that interestingness of
Mhm.
yourself, what's the wildest, most unexpected place you found inspiration for your work?
Oh, that's tough. I feel
Yeah.
like I get inspiration from anything. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I also love cooking. Like
Mm.
a lot of my inspiration comes from my appetite, I think.
Okay, I know that's right.
Yeah. You're like, I'm hungry, I'm mad, like
Now that's interesting. You can't tell me. Like I'm holding on to that.
I grew up in the kitchen. So like my
Mm.
my family, at least my mom and my grandma were big cooks
Mm-hmm.
in the Philippines. I came from the Philippines. I moved here when I was only 14 years old back in 2006. And I think a lot of what fuels me
Mm.
is that memory,
Yeah.
that core, being in the kitchen, learning how to chop vegetables and being in like that noise.
Mm.
I think I really thrive in chaos, which says a
Yes.
lot about
Yes.
me. And
Honey,
also,
that's wild and inspirational, if you ask me. Yeah.
so I think that also, like, in design, there's a lot of that correlation in terms of just like planning a meal versus like planning a concept,
Mm.
execution of that said meal and then execution of that design. So I think
Mm.
there's a lot of those process from both worlds that I feel like I get to marry the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think cooking just came later in my life, and I think we'll get there too as we keep talking about it. But a lot of my inspiration comes from my family, food, and honestly, just a lot of my experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes being hungry.
Being
Yeah,
hungry.
that's
Yeah.
real. That's a
Always
real,
hungry.
that's real though. That's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking about you being hungry and all the inspiration,
Yeah.
if you could describe your art style using only three pop culture references, what would they be and why?
Man,
Yeah,
I
take a
don't
moment
like
to
these
think about
questions.
it.
Pop cultural reference. I love pop culture. I
Hmm.
think,
Hmm.
growing up, there's a sense of just like uncoolness about it because it's
Hmm.
not like grungy or cool or whatever. But I think as I grow older, I've become just like more accepting of what I like. And I
Yes,
think
absolutely.
pop culture has definitely been such an influence, especially being an immigrant
Hmm.
and growing up in the Philippines and only having access to, like the most popular shows or the most
Yeah,
popular movies from
yeah.
Western, like influences. So I grew up watching a lot of Friends. And that's kind of
Friends.
how I
Yeah.
learned how to speak English in
Wow.
a way.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think we
What is
definitely,
this?
yeah,
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 I watched a lot of Friends
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Small fun fact, but yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I feel like shows, definitely like a lot of sitcoms back in the day, was influential for me. And in terms of music, I don't really listen to Gwen Stefani anymore because she's kind of problematic. But there's a lot of that, no doubt.
Girl,
Back,
this is crazy
yeah.
because I hate this. I don't know if I'm gonna cut this out or not, but I'm a huge No Doubt
I
fan.
love
Like
Gwen and No
hella
Doubt.
good,
Rocksteady.
rock steady,
Hmm.
don't
Just a
speak,
girl.
just a girl. Mind you, I
Yeah.
grew up in Poughkeepsie, so the culture is a slightly
Yeah.
different from kind of the predominantly black culture that I'm used to here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
So and MTV,
Yes.
no,
MTV.
yeah,
Uh huh.
yeah. So okay, so you have
Uh
Friends,
huh.
Gwen Stefani slash No Doubt.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Well,
and
more
what
so
else?
No Doubt.
And yeah, more
Yeah.
so No Doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Then lastly, I feel like a lot of anime, cartoons growing up,
Mm,
because we had cable, but it was very limited in terms of like what we could watch. But I definitely watch a lot of like Doraemon, a lot of Pokemon,
mhm.
a lot of that anime cartoons back in the day where it's just after school, you don't have your phones or whatever then back then.
Yeah.
So you either watch, MTV, whatever's on MTV, and then whatever anime's on.
Mhm.
Sailor Moon was like
Wow.
big
Yeah.
back then, and Hello
Mhm.
Kitty. So I think I didn't really have that creative drive in me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember back in the day. I think I was just really hungry, and I consumed a lot of TV, music,
Yeah.
and culture references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you a 90s baby?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, same,
91. Yeah.
same. 90. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Birthday's coming up.
That was great.
Shout out to all the millennials and the 90s babies watching this. Thank you. Thank you.
The
Okay,
best.
the best. Okay. And we talked a little bit about like what inspires you, some of the pop culture references that, kind of inspires your style of work and, whatnot. But if your art could speak for itself, what is a message that it would say to the world to inspire? And why would it say that message?
I feel like throughout my career, authenticity is something that I definitely have been more, like more wanting to make sure that is in my work,
Yeah.
because for so long I think growing up in the creative space, there's a lot of privilege in what I do,
Mm,
and I feel like the roles that I get to be in now I don't take for granted, just because like my background was not a traditional 4-year college degree, just
mm,
because I grew up with a single mom. Art school was kind of like her dreams were crashing. That
mm,
was not the path that she
mm,
had envisioned for me. And so I think, in terms of my work, I really love the collaborative spirit,
mm,
and making sure that a lot of what I do is authentic to the person that I am,
mm,
and the values that I grew up, like having, speaks to it. And
mm.
and I think right now it's so easy to lose, just because you want to just be relevant. You want to create something that people will like. But I
Yeah.
think a lot of younger folks, at least also for me when I was younger, I just wanted to just create something that people want to see. But
Yeah.
then I feel like you lose the aspect of like what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So the
authenticity that holds
authenticity.
your craft together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, if it speaks to you, it'll speak to someone else, just because
Mm,
your perspective is very unique.
yeah.
And, if you're just going to create to copy, then you're not really creating something that is, bringing something new to the world or your community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That
Yeah.
like the authenticity, like we said, it holds your craft together, right?
Hmm.
It could be a billion graphic designers, slash chefs, right? But that authenticity that holds that together is really, really what matters.
Your story.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
story.
Hmm.
And speaking about your story, you talked about moving here when you were 14.
Hmm.
Tell us about that transition and like some of the things that you learned, about this country and like, well, yeah, about yourself and like, tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, I was 14 and I grew up just because okay, backstory. My mom is a single mother. So
Mm,
in the early 90s, she gained a tourist visa to fly to LA to get a
nice.
part-time job at the time.
Mm,
And this was pre 9/11. So a lot of the you know, security measures were not as strict.
mm,
And so she was able to have, work here for 6 months, travel back, and then back and forth, But then
mm,
after 9/11, things started getting stricter. So we were separated from, I think, like mid 90s to like till I moved here. So it
mm,
was it was a while that I didn't get to see my mom, and I grew up
mm,
not really having my parents. So, my mom is a single mom. My dad left us when I was really young,
mm.
so I don't really have that relationship. I grew
Yeah,
up with grandparents,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
like the call out to the kitchen and being with her all the time.
Mm.
I'm a grandma's girl.
Grandma's girl,
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to
So
all the grandma's girls and
yeah,
guys out there that know
the
what it's
best.
like to have that close knit relationship with your
Yeah.
grandparents.
Um, so in 2000, and I believe 5 or 6 was when my green cards got approved. And since
Nice.
I'm the youngest of 4 kids, it was easier for me to get status because I'm technically still dependent to my mom.
Hmm.
And the rest of my siblings were all in the age of 18,
Okay.
over 18. And so I moved here in 2006, 14 years old, like a lot of hormones, a lot of like
Hmm.
feelings of insecurities. It was hard. I think I didn't really expect the otherness that I would feel. I think
Mm.
I saw a lot of, again, like what we said, like movies and pop culture references with all the sitcoms, and it was different. They don't really show that stuff.
Yeah.
So I moved from the Philippines to Parma, Ohio.
Okay, that's a big move.
It was very
Baby, you
big.
really moved.
Yeah, I really
Okay,
moved. Yeah.
yeah.
And, from a quiet, like, neighborhood where every neighbor comes by your gate to say hi to you every morning, to like literally a cul-de-sac where nobody talks to each other, and there's a lot of just like older folks in the community, because at the time we had to live with my grand aunt, and there was just a lot. It was a big change, and
Yeah.
so I think that was such a shift in my psyche, where I'm like, wow, I changed a lot. I became a little bit more closed off. I think I would say I was really depressed for a couple
Yeah.
years there. And I think that's really when that creative spark happened in me.
Yeah.
I think I was in high school, and the first interaction I had with the arts was my photography class.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Fogel. I don't know if I said his name, but Parma High
Okay.
School, Mr.
Shout out to
Fogel.
Mr. Fogel.
Yeah, I took a photography class, and I remember it was really the only time I like tried to express. Like, I would walk around that cul-de-sac, go to the park, take pictures of like black and white photos of like the trees, the playground. They were all pretty emo photos at the time. And then I would scan it, and I got like a bootleg Photoshop. I forgot the levels. I think like Photoshop C2 or whatever. And I would try to manipulate these photos. That was like my first ever experience even trying to do anything with the arts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like from there, my instructor, I did ceramics, and then I forgot her name, but she also really inspired me.
I
And
love
from
ceramics.
it's
I made
cool.
a cup. I still have it.
Really?
My cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
7th grade.
Nice.
I still have it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a lot of those teachers were really encouraging, and especially as I was a pretty quiet kid. I didn't really have, because I came in, this is one thing too. I came in, and in the Philippines, my mom was a single mom working here, so she would send money, and I was put in a pretty, good Catholic school in the Philippines. I was private school, all girls school, and so I guess the curriculum in the Philippines were a lot more strict and a lot more heavier in terms of like the classes I was taking. So by the time I moved here, I had enough credits to like graduate, but I was 14.
Wow. So you graduated high school at 14?
No. So they were like, you're too young. And so they put me as a junior.
Okay.
But my age was like technically a freshman.
Yeah.
But I had enough credits to graduate, so that I was put in a junior. So I just took a lot of the classes, like the English class, government class, and just stuff, prereqs essentially. And then I took art classes.
Okay.
So I honestly feel like everything happened for a reason in that way.
Yeah.
So without those art classes, I feel like I wouldn't even like consider going into graphic design.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Girl, that's amazing.
That's a lot.
Thank you so much for speaking with me and sharing your story. And thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned. I hope you're inspired, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace and love.
Yeah, thanks.
See? Perfect.
This is Street Story Media.